Hey, welcome back to the channel. Now this video is, I think, something that will probably feel quite real, and it's something that's quietly training so many service-based business owners, and it's probably something that you're doing without even realizing it. You probably know the pattern. You're chasing for updates, you're firefighting, you feel like everything's really chaotic right now, like you're managing clients, everything's really reliant on you. You feel like you just don't have the headspace to breathe because there's always something else. Projects get messy, results aren't quite happening for clients like you want them to be, and you know that they can, and you're just not quite sure where specifically those issues are arising. It's not that you're not working hard enough or that you don't care or you don't want it to work, but actually what's really costing you is your client experience. And I'm going to show you and go through with you today exactly what's happening, why this is costing you so much money, and how those relate together and how you can fix it. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Bella Hegarty. Go and check out my intro video where you'll find out a little bit more about me and how I help service-based business owners like yourself create time, structure, and headspace to be able to work on the business while delighting your clients in the process. Let's dive right in. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening right now. And if you're being honest with yourself, this might be what's going on. So typically, and from the founders that I speak to and the clients that I work with, you are consistently chasing for updates, chasing clients, chasing team, and asking for feedback on things that you asked days or weeks ago, and you can't move on without getting this information. You're actually repeating yourself multiple times to clients in catch-ups and on calls, and they're asking for things that are out of scope, but you've already told them that that's not in scope, but that you just feel like, why are they not listening? Why do I have to repeat myself? Why are these things not resonating and hitting home? And cash flow feels really tight, even though your services are priced at really like comparable and probably quite high to where the market is, but you're coming out at the end of it with just no margin for you to be able to either invest back into the business, or payments are late and you're chasing manually for them, they're overdue, and you've asked nicely and they say, yeah, we're absolutely going to pay. But why are you stuck in this cycle where you're feeling stressed because you can't pay your suppliers, you're struggling to get cash flow at the end of the month, when all you've planned is multiple months of runway in order for your services, and they should, ideally, in theory, you've estimated them to be able to make margin, but they're not coming away with that. And ultimately, you're feeling like you're firefighting. Like everything is reliant on you so much. And if you're not checking up, you're not managing the process, you're not there every day with your team or your clients, part of those conversations, then clients they're not doing their part, and you feel like because you haven't got all the information, you can't do your part. And if you aren't physically following up with clients or team, then there's tasks that fall through the cracks, and you're having to be on all the time just to make sure all those small, tiny little things get done. And it does feel like right now, it's like, oh, this client hasn't signed their contract. Oh, this payment is a week overdue, and no one's chased the client, but why aren't we chasing the client? And let me just jump on that, and I'm going to chase the client myself. A team member going, can I just borrow a bit of your time? And it's all those small things that feel small in the moment, but it mounts up to this feeling now of you feeling completely overwhelmed. Without having time to work on the growth of the business, you're now getting pulled back in again and again to the weeds of the business. Stuck in that day-to-day rat race of, okay, we just need to get through this next week, we just need to get through this next project, and then we'll have some time and some headspace. But that just never seems to actually be the case. And if any of that has resonated, let me know in the comments which it was and what struck with you. But also, if there's something you're like, no, actually, this is the scenario for me, I'd love to hear what that is for you and how that's showing up in your business right now. And we're going to go into why this, one, is a part of your client experience, but also why this is costing you so much and what all these little things are doing to your business right now. Let's say you're off on a holiday, you've packed your suitcase, you felt like you did all the preparation, so you wrote lists, you got everything down, you left, you got there, you get to the airport, you realise you've forgotten your passport. You realise that you didn't get any check-in instructions for the hotel that you're staying at. So you get there and you haven't got all the information that they need, check-in takes longer, you're sat at the reception desk for 3 hours while they find your booking reservation because they can't find it in the system. And from start to finish, you just feel like this is going to be the worst trip ever. And why does this matter to your business? Well, let's go through all the things that I mentioned above and what's actually happening and what that's doing to your business and how that's costing you, and how then we'll go into how you can fix it. Okay, so I want to start with all this feeling of constantly chasing for updates, repeating instructions, and you're feeling like you're having to jump back in and fix all these things. And the impact that's just absorbing so much of your time. And there is other things, but let's face like the physical time that you're spending firefighting, chasing clients, fixing issues. If you were able to go through your week and count up how much time that has cost you that you could be spent on business development, bringing in new business, improving and optimizing different areas of the business, actually just spending time with your family because it's been weeks of late nights and early mornings and not being completely present when you really wanted to. And what's the cost of that time for you, and how much is your time worth? I think building on that element of time, not only is all of this draining your time, but that time could be spent on generating more opportunities to bring in higher value clients, to find opportunities for growth and build relationships with your existing client base, work on marketing, work on partnerships, all the things that help you grow your business. They're missed opportunities for you to also potentially be able to go deeper with the work that you do because you're just at the point of settling and operating at the basic level of what you can versus what you know you could do. Not only that, it's a huge drain on your energy. If you can think of all of these extra little things that you have to do for clients and the frustrations and the issues, what impact does that make on how you feel at the end of the day? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel frustrated? And then the ongoing impact of that on your appetite, your patience, your relationships, and your sleep. And I think finally, the biggest cost of all of this to you, your client experience, is money. All of those extra little things that you do they have a value attached to them. So the time you're spent jumping on calls, the amount of time chasing clients, the energy that you don't feel like you have to put into revenue generating activities or finding opportunities, the lack of contracts and payment terms and real structure to your business, all of these small things that you end up having to do has a price point. Think of how much more it costs you to do all of these small things, these reworks, the chasing clients, the chasing payments, the reviewing tasks, catching tasks, or spending those hours thinking about what have we missed. You would be so surprised. And I worked with a client on this and they worked out for what they could be generating as a business, they were wasting hundreds of thousands in time that we had no idea where it could possibly go. We looked at the revenue opportunity versus the actual revenue, and there was physically hundreds of thousands missing in what this could cost you. And if I go back to the analogy and the picture I painted about that travel experience that you would possibly go on, that has a cost, like your time spent going back to get your passport, the energy with countless frustrations of sitting at the check-in desk where you feel like you've given them all the information but you haven't checked in and you can't get to your room and you're tired and you're exhausted, and ultimately you just don't enjoy yourself, you don't enjoy your business, and it makes a huge impact on the financial state of your business and how you can actually operate. And why this is your client experience, because if we add that structure to how our clients experience our business, both from their eyes but also internally, we're able to squash a lot of these issues because we have structure into place to how we work, how we operate, how we manage clients. And let's have a look at how we can fix that. Our first thing that you can do to fix this is align expectations early. Now, this is not just creating an onboarding, telling them how they can pay. This is both setting and understanding expectations, because when working with a client, in order to best understand their success, how we can work with them, what they've got coming up in their business, what information do you need at what point, how much information can you get as early as possible, what did they need to know about working with your business, your team, and yourself in order to get the best possible experience and the fastest results possible for them. The second fix, if you are firefighting and having to review tasks, is setting in place really clear ways of working. And this is probably, for me, something that if you do not have, I have no idea how you're operating right now. Setting in place really clear ways of working looks at how are you actually delivering your services. You know how much it costs, how much time it takes, what's the effort, what's included, so that you can start to really work out time, value, margins, and what is actually the profit that you're going to get out of a service once that you've delivered it compared to how you're pricing it, when you actually work out the foundations of time, if you're selling time and materials. And if you work on value-based pricing, you'll still need to know this, because you need to know how much it costs you to deliver a service. And by having clear ways of working, you then know what's involved, and it's not just all in here. When there's no clear ways of working, clients, they see that chaos. And I've spoken to a lot of clients who have left due to poor project management and just everything feeling very disorganized. So if you can feel organized, clients see, they feel supported, they feel like you have everything under control, and it just makes everything else a hell of a lot easier, especially if they're really time poor. It takes the headspace and the doing off them. Improve your client management foundations. What I mean by that is contract scope and payment terms aren't just admin. It's all about strengthening the foundations of how you manage clients. And having personal experience with not knowing how to manage clients, not having really clear boundaries, it meant that I was working at all times of the day, late evenings, early mornings. And when I spoke about your energy being drained, you will feel like all your clients just aren't good clients, when in reality, when you have a foundation of how you manage clients, you have structures in place on payment, you have them automated or reminders really clearly set, terms really clearly set, contracts outlining and covering you, and you communicating that outwardly to clients, scope reinforced and solid. You've got everything in place, and yes, there are bad clients, but you're able to manage and confidently navigate any of those scenarios, because you know that if all else fails, I feel that we know how to manage our clients. We know that what a good client looks like. We know scenarios where things don't necessarily go right, and we know what to do about those, versus feeling like all our clients are just problems, I hate my business and I don't want to work with anyone. If you work with clients directly, you need to have client management foundations. So the fourth thing that you can do right now to fix it is, if you are not able to get any feedback, struggling to make decisions on how to improve your processes or how to improve the business, what's needed next from clients, what they really think, what results they're getting, build visibility into your client journey. Give yourself that chance to shout about clients' results, their loyalty, their lifetime value, how well they're doing, because you can actually see the excellent results that they're getting from working with you. And you can then start to see if they aren't getting results, why they're not getting results, and what you can do to change that. It gives you that clarity onto what's going well, what isn't going so well, and where I can make improvements. And finally, if you're able to create a structured and streamlined client experience with clear areas of ownership, clearly set expectations, understood where you can then start to offload some of that responsibility, and the business doesn't rest on your shoulders alone. It's something that works and scales and grows and operates sustainably. And if I jump back to our travel experience and adventure analogy, if that experience, you had those last minute checks in place before you left the house, and you know, if nothing else, I must bring these. If the hotel had the right communications up front, they emailed you 3 days before and you spoke to them and you know exactly how to communicate with them, all of these areas mean that there is a sense of confidence, a sense of calm as to how you're growing your business. So if I can leave you something to take away with, client experience isn't this nice to have or big idea. It's a fundamental part of how you operate and grow your business. When your client experience is messy, it drains your time, energy, and momentum. But when you fix it, clients get results and they stay longer. You as the founder get back time, energy, headspace, and you're able to make more money from the services that you have. And I'll leave you with this one last thing. If you've been feeling stuck, don't assume that if cash flow's tight, you need more leads, or if you're feeling chaotic, you need a virtual assistant or another team member to support you in your business. Now, those might be the case, but I would encourage you, if you've related to anything that I've said above, check your client experience, because it might be costing you more than you think.